What is up, everybody? It's Alex from Heavy New York. We are at the King's Theater, finally doing an interview here, and we are here with Gabriel of Idle Hands. Thank you for your time, man.
Pleasure to meet you and do this interview with you.
Yeah, it's going to be a great show tonight. You and King Diamond, Uncle Acid, and the Deadbeats. Doesn't get much better than that.
No, it doesn't, and this is show 4, and they've been going pretty swell so far. So
yeah, awesome. But your newest record is Mana, which came out back in in the summer around there. Yeah. Do you just want to give a rundown on how the making of this record was, the recording, all that fun stuff?
Mana was actually written over the course of 8 months in 2018, and at the time I had just released the Don't Waste Your Time EP, and when that came out I had already had a couple songs for Mana written, and I just kind of churned it out because I had a schedule for the band that I wanted to adhere to. It's like EP, get a label, tour, build our reputation, get an album out through a label, and then use that to tour more and blah, 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 blah. Needless to say, it kind of worked out, and we're doing cool stuff like this King Diamond tour right now. So yeah,
it's awesome. What I've noticed with this record is that I've got many different vibes of the songs as well as different sounds. I feel like a song like Jackie, for example, is very different than Don't Waste Your Time or something like that. So is there a preconceived idea in how you want a song to sound, or is there a lot of improvising and things happen organically?
Tons of improvising. I try my best to let the songs write themselves, actually. Don't Waste Your Time, for example, I was sick of writing 4/4 stuff, so I do a lot of tracking to my GarageBand and on my computer, and I was like, okay, I'll set the tempo really slow and put it in 6/8 time for this one instead, and Don't Waste Your Time came out, but once I have the meat of the songs, I give them to our drummer, and he just goes nuts on them, and then I reconform the songs to that. So in a way, they really do just kind of write themselves. They just form into what they need to be.
Yeah. How do you know when a song is finished?
When every part is filled, when I can't put something in a spot.
Okay.
So if you listen to for example, Journey is one of my favorite bands. If you listen to a lot of their songs, a riff will start out and the vocals will start immediately, and he'll take a little vocal break, and right in that 2 seconds there's a vocal break, or that 1/2 measure, you'll hear a piano fill or something, and then the vocals will come back in, and then every time something stops, something's there to fill it, whether it be a drum fill or a bass fill or piano or what have you. So just making sure that every part of the song is full and there's no dead air, so to speak.
All right. Yeah. Very, very specific. Yeah. That was actually a good way of putting it. Is there ever a time where lyrics or a subject matter or a meaning concept can help maybe determine the outcome of the music itself, or lyrics always kind of a secondary sort of thing?
I take notes when I come up with ideas, but they are very secondary. I get the song finished first, and then once that's done, sometimes I'll write vocal melodies with my guitar. So I'll just do solos over the Jackie came out that way, actually. I just soloed over the chorus until I came up with a cool melody, which is the dan dan dan, and I was like, okay, that's the vocal line too. And then I just kind of walked around until something good comes over that, until I get inspired, and then the lyrics work themselves out. But I've never written lyrics before I've written the music.
Yeah, nothing could be more heartbreaking than having the most amazing lyrics and seeing how they go one syllable over the arrangement.
Yes, rule number 1 in this game is kill your darlings. I think a famous writer said that at some point. I don't know which one, but yeah.
Well, when you mentioned the soloing and stuff, is there a music theory mode that you follow? I have to work in this key off of this scale?
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, if I start off a song in A, I generally keep it in A. I'll move to other parts, but it always resolves back in the same thing. I like to keep things very short, sweet, and simple. I want to say as much as I can in the shortest amount of time possible, kind of like a punk rock approach to it, really, because with this band, a lot of my effectiveness or whatever, lies within the message of the song. So I just need that medium, the music medium, to put my words over. And that's what I do with a lot. But in the future, I've actually been thinking, if something comes around, I'll maybe there will be an Odyssey or something like that. We'll see. But Don't Waste Your Time, it ends with that random thrash thrash predator scream thing.
Did Alex Skolnick collaborate with this or something?
No, it's just that was totally random. That was just leftover riff at the end of the song that I forgot to remove, and I didn't remove it for a long time, and eventually I was like, screw it, I'm just going to leave it there. And that was that. So
there you go. You mentioned like the message of the song. Are you trying to maybe engage the listener into what the message could be, or can the music also be open to interpretation?
Oh, 100% open to interpretation. I want people to feel however they want to feel about the song. It's not about it's not all about me, you know. It's completely open to however you want to take it. I mean, I have something I'm specifically writing about for me, but there's plenty of ways people can look at it. For example, Don't Waste Your Time, the EP, that one's like a triple entendre, really. It's don't waste your time in life, don't waste your time on religion. I got the cross on the front of the record, right? Or whatever higher power crap you're believing in, you know, like don't get too caught up in that. And then the third is don't waste your time on this record, if you want to see it that way too. But people can take any one of those messages, and none of it's wrong.
Yeah.
So it's whatever.
Of course, it's cool that you were able to like say what it means, because like I've asked artists maybe off the air, like, you know, what is the meaning, and they say they're afraid to like say in interviews what the song actually means because they're afraid that the listener isn't gonna be able to take it in their own way. But I think you have a way of making it concrete but also open at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
You know, there are definitely things that have influenced the songs that I won't mention because people will go like, oh, now all I'm gonna hear is that.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, no, it's pretty specific about what I want.
Yeah. Now, I know that being in your live presence, you are in a character, and you have to like you're kind of are portraying somebody on stage, which is why we're doing an audio interview before you get into character. But when it comes to portraying somebody on stage, is this an extension of who you are, or are you portraying somebody completely out of your element on stage?
You know, I never even thought about this until you asked this question, actually. But yes, 100%. The person I'm playing on stage isn't some fake guy. That's the guy I am when I'm writing the music. I'm not like that all the time. Obviously, I like to laugh and watch comedy movies sometimes and eat cheeseburgers like everybody else. But when I'm on stage, you're seeing the side of me that comes out when I'm writing the music, when I'm working on lyrics, when I have an idea. That's the darker side of me, so to speak. And that's what I'm expressing through Idle Hands, because I'd like to leave as much of that there on stage and in the music and out of my personal life as possible, because like anybody else, I have a desire to be happy and live a good life. And so this is an outlet, and I am hoping that by expressing how I really feel through the music, it can resonate with other people, and perhaps they can let something out too and feel a little better.
That's a really good way of putting it. When it comes to the inspiration for writing, do you have to put yourself in that mindset, or just
Yes.
does inspiration sometimes just come out of nowhere though as well?
Yes. In fact, by way of Kingdom, I was just dreaming, and it was like I just woke up and my first thought was By Way of Kingdom, and I was like, oh, that's a cool song title, and then I wrote that down. But a lot of other times, yeah, I'll just I'll see some phrase or something like anybody else. I mean, it's just typical like songwriting things, and you're like, oh, that's cool, I'll write that down. Or it can come from the weirdest spots, and you can force it, and sometimes it comes, but that's a lot harder. Other times it just hits, and the hardest thing is when it hits, stopping everything else and going, I can't go out to the movie tonight. It's like, wait, what? We had plans. It's like, I can't. I need to juice everything out of this idea. It could take 20 minutes. It could take 4 hours. But I have to sit here until it's done, because you can't just have an idea, write it down, and be like, I'll work on that tomorrow. That's not how art works.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Yeah, anyways.
Which is funny that you mentioned that. So it's fair to say when people are listening to your music, each song is really an essence of a moment that in time. You like to feel the same way when you finish a song as you do when you start it.
Yes, yeah, exactly. I have to feel 100% confidence in every part of the music and songs that are being put on to paper, put onto a record. I don't release anything that I'm not confident about. If I think it could be better, it just doesn't get released. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So.
Well, being an artist, I'm sure there's times where you're working on something, you get stuck, and then you have to put it to the side and come back later or something like that. I'd imagine that I don't want, for lack of better words, can that possibly hinder the process of completion, or if you need to put it aside because you're not like the same.
Yes, actually, yeah. The faster you get a song done, I've found out is usually the better it is. Putting things aside, it really it kind of stresses you out and makes art a little bit less fun, but it is totally necessary. For example, not Kingdom, Give Me to the Night was written. The lyrics were just written in like an hour, and I thought that was actually going to be the least popular song on the record, and turned out to be the most popular. I, in fact, actually thought about not putting it on the record. So because I was like, this one's like kind of too straightforward, old school heavy metal. I don't know, like, I don't want to be pigeonholed into being like just a true metal band. And but yeah, threw it on. It's still a reflection of something inside. So yeah, put it on. So.
Yeah, I love asking, like, you're ever worried like the song you leave out of a record will be on maybe a B-side or a bonus track and still be the biggest hit you guys ever had?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy how that works. Like Black Sabbath, Paranoid, apparently they wrote that in like 8 hours or something like that.
Yeah,
and they didn't think anything of it.
Welcome to the Jungle was written in 3 hours.
That's insane. Yeah. No, that's totally insane.
Yeah,
but that's when inspiration strikes like that. That's what I'm talking about. You have to juice it out. Because if they had said, oh, this is cool. All right, let's go get some beers and we'll work on this tomorrow, we would never have that song.
Yeah.
Not in its current form. So
absolutely. Just imagine like if somebody was out of practice that day when Slash came up with that opening riff or something like that.
Yep. Well, and I mean, there's so many different, you could get into some weird time and space timelines there, because that song was written, there's 10 other songs, hits that we never heard, but it doesn't matter, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
And kind of going back to your live presence, what I find unique is, you mentioned that you are like the same person on stage as when you are in songwriting mode, but in the end, interacting with the crowd, playing in a venue like this and all that, I feel like playing live is almost kind of a different strategy than just simply being able to write songs. For you, is there maybe a different fulfillment factor or a different method of execution when you're on stage versus like in the studio?
Yeah, I mean, we're obviously out to try and transport the crowd out of their current mindset and get them into ours, right? But with the live performances, I don't know. It's still something that's like fleshing itself out. Like we know what we are, but we definitely want to get like more theatrical. And you're going to see more of that. I mean, it's just about expressing ourselves and trying to keep it authentic and real, because we're not posing up there. It's
who you are.
Yes, it's a very real part of who we are, yes. Yeah.
And the final question I wanted to ask you is, correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys are from Portland, Oregon, right?
Yes.
Yep. So, I've interviewed actually a lot of bands from that area. I interviewed Yob, I interviewed Toxic Holocaust, I interviewed Witch Mountain, and I wish Agalloch would come back.
Yeah.
But, like, is there, like, a current scene that you guys are, like, involved in Portland, or was the goal of Idle Hands to kind of, like, get outside your state lines a little bit more?
Well, the goal from the beginning was to not be a local band, for sure. I wanted to immediately establish ourselves as a touring act, a legitimate touring act that is worthy of people's attention. And, in Portland, even as our old band, Spellcaster, we hung out with the scene, but we were always the outsiders. Like it felt like we're always just the one band that was doing slightly something different, than everybody else. Like Portland's a big death metal and doom town. Power metal was not cool. We did that for like 7 years,
if you had a song that was under 20 minutes, you were uncool.
Exactly. And with this band, I wouldn't say we have a scene in Portland. If one started popping up, I'd be, I'd be elated. That would be awesome. But right now, it's kind of just us in terms of traditional heavy metal bands mixing mixing in goth influences and post-punk and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I feel like when I found out that you guys are from Portland, like I found that out before I actually really got engaged in the music. I was like, all right, it's probably going to be a band with like songs that are like 17 and a half minutes.
No.
And I was like, so I feel like you guys and Toxic Holocaust are like the only bands from that area that write songs within a reasonable song length.
Yeah, and Joel's actually a really cool dude. We recorded some songs with him in our old band Spellcaster. So, he's kind of a dude who just likes to rock. I think it has something to do with liking a lot of 80s heavy metal, a lot of pop format style music. There's nothing wrong with pop format music. Everybody loves a pop format song. Yeah. I mean, there's not a person in this world who doesn't like one of them. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
So.
and anybody who says they're not are probably lying through their teeth.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So, yeah.
So before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah, of course.
Is there just anything else you would like to promote for after the King Diamond tour?
Yeah, we're going to have an announcement on the very last day of the King Diamond Tour. We'll have a pretty big announcement for the USA. And if anyone in Europe is listening, we'll be back in August of next year. And
awesome. Was that announced? Or
there's one show announced. We're going to Poland. We're playing with Mayhem and At the Gates and Candlemass and Razor.
That's a lot. I've ever heard
at Metal Mania Fest in Warsaw, Poland. Yeah. And then we're pretty soon, I think we're going to be announced for a festival in Norway, and we'll be in Germany and the UK and France and all that stuff. Also, probably Asia too. That's still being worked out. But aside from touring, new record is in the works. I've already got like 11 or 12 or something song ideas. So.
Right after putting out something as good as Mana, it seems like the creative flow just keeps happening.
I just don't stop. Right now is the time where it's very crucial that we're putting out the best possible music we possibly can. I mean, the whole goal in all of this is not to, obviously it's to succeed and have the money to be able to succeed and get bigger and better. But for me personally, it's to write the best song I possibly can and transcend what I thought I could be able to do in my musical career. Like, I want to write a song that I look back on and go, I can't believe that I did that. And so it's just like that eternal struggle to try and find some kind of purpose with the day-to-day life. I mean, what at the end of the day, it's about the music. So,
awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Gabriel.
Of course.
Yeah. Everybody, we are here with Gabriel of Idle Hands. Be sure to pick up Mana if you haven't already. This is Alex from Heavy New York. We'll see you next time.
Thank you very much.